part 3 of my ex formed a conspiracy to weaponize the government to try to get me swatted. Everybody's been telling me how fucking crazy this video series so far is, and believe it or not, we have not even gotten to the crazy part yet. We have not. But now we're about to get into the crazy part, so check this out. So I went directly to iCloud.com, and I only was downloading model release forms, and that's it. And then after doing that is when I noticed signs that my brand new MacBook Pro had been hacked into in less than in only 1 or 2 weeks, okay? And here's how I know it was hacked into. You see how my receipt says July 24? Well, one of the things that I took a photo of on this brand new computer was an app called Brave. Now, I don't use this app, but my friend was telling me about it. He was telling me it's like some kind of search engine that's really safe and confidential and private, which I call cap after seeing this. But yeah, so I noticed when he recommended that to me, I searched for this app called Brave, and it was already pre-installed on my computer. And I was like, that's weird. How is it pre-installed on my computer? And then I look, and I see that it was installed July 23 at 5:20 in the morning. It's like, first of all, why the hell would I be awake at that time? And then second of all, how could this app have been pre-installed a day before I bought this laptop? I check all of the other Apple apps, and they all say they were pre-installed May 3rd, 2025. And I also went to the Apple store about this. I went to the Apple Genius Bar about this, and they confirmed with me that this Brave app, it's normally not an app that comes pre-installed with Apple computers. And they really didn't have a good explanation for how that Brave app got onto my Apple computer. And by this point, I'm just like, dude, I can't keep exchanging brand new MacBooks at Apple, like every 2 weeks. They're gonna get pissed off at me. So by this time, I just decided to eat the cost and just decided to hire my own cybersecurity expert, because even Apple couldn't fix it. Apple didn't know how to fix it. They basically told me they just had to wipe my computer clean, and that didn't fix the issue. I also deleted the app, and the app still reappeared the next day, and wiping it didn't do anything. So I basically had to hire a cybersecurity expert. He came to my house, I think it was August 4th, and he told me that based on what I've been experiencing, it sounds like somebody who is physically close to me who's doing all these things to me. He basically was doing stuff on my computer, and even he had to call Apple. He had to call Apple's Genius Bar phone number. He had to speak to senior supervisor. He had to speak to a senior supervisor to try to properly get this virus removed from my computer, because even he couldn't do it. And he's somebody who specializes in Apple products, by the way. I distinctly remember noticing on my computer, this one word pops up and it says Pegasus. And I didn't know what it was at the time, so I didn't take a photo of it. I wish I had. But I didn't realize what Pegasus was at the time, so I just assumed it was his software or something, so I didn't really bother to take a photo of it. But I noticed it said Pegasus, and I would later end up looking up what this Pegasus software was. And apparently, it's some sort of crazy government software or military grade software. Apparently, you don't even need to download anything or click on any link in order to get infected. All you need to do is get one missed text or one phone call, and boom, you're infected. So basically, it's useless buying new devices and trying to hide from this thing. They're just gonna follow you wherever you go. It's fucking pointless. So at this point, I was just like, you know what, there's no fucking point. I just stopped buying devices at this point. Now, on one of these visits during these 2 weeks that I went to the Apple Genius Bar, this one Apple employee came up to me, and she told me, "I hope you get justice." And I said, wow, thank you. But clearly that tells me these Apple employees, they were also looking into me. They were looking into seeing what I was doing, what websites I was visiting. They probably looked through my whole entire iCloud, to see what I was up to exactly, because of all this crazy law enforcement activity, right? And I think Apple cybersecurity realized that I was not guilty of anything that I was being accused of. So that's why Apple cybersecurity eventually decided to stop cooperating with law enforcement. They eventually gave me back my iCloud. They gave me access to my iCloud back, but it took me inputting my fingerprint. I inputted my fingerprint into my brand new MacBook, and shortly after that is when I finally got access to my iCloud account. But it did take me 2 weeks of showing up consistently every single day. I had to show up consistently every single day. Oh yeah, I forgot one detail. So remember how I told you about the police car that I saw on the way out? So after I got hacked into, I wrote down my passwords on a piece of paper. And I noticed that this piece of paper was on my driver's seat, inside of my vehicle, on the day that I saw the police car, on the night that I saw the police car, I should clarify. And this piece of paper it happened to have my iCloud password in it, and also my MacBook password in it. And this piece of paper was ripped in half and placed on my driver's seat. I'd also like to mention that I requested FOIA requests. I placed a FOIA request from OC Sheriff, and they also have yet to get back to me. They claimed at first that they didn't have what I was looking for. I told them I was looking for these following things, and I was like, do you not have this? Can you please find this and get this for me? And then they said they'll get back to me. They never did. One of the things that I wanted to receive from OC Sheriff was the videotape, the surveillance camera tape on the car of me talking to the car and showing all the evidence that I had that I gotten hacked into. I wanted to obtain evidence of that. And OC Sheriff told me that they were going to get back to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's going to take some time to get it because, government stuff does always take time. But I still have not received that yet. Shortly after this happens, I try to take photos and videos on my Samsung Galaxy. And I try to take photos and videos of what's happening on my phone on my Samsung Galaxy. And then I drive to Best Buy to buy some SSD cards to plug it into my Samsung Galaxy and try to transfer the data that way. And after I finish recording everything, it still wouldn't transfer over. You can actually see in these two photos here, in one, this is before I plugged the SSD card in. It looks totally normal. And then in the other one, you can actually see right here in this text right here, it says device couldn't switch. So for some reason, my Android is no longer recognizing this SSD card at all. And I attempt to transfer data from my phone because it's like, dude, this phone has a lot of things that I need for content creation. It has my fucking model release forms. It's got pretty much my entire life for the past 10 years on there, right? Inside some of these files, I had a lot of dirt about my aunt. I had a lot of fucking dirt about him, of him committing violations of security clearance as well as violations of the law. Numerous laws, okay? This is one of the pieces of dirt that I had about my ex committing security clearance violations. I had evidence that he was meeting people from Craigslist to buy and sell scheduled substances. This is a guy who he introduced to me, and he claimed this was his friend from college. However, when I started becoming suspicious of him around April or May, I started messaging a bunch of his friends, trying to find more details about him, digging into him a little bit. Pretty much everything that he told me, from beginning to end, was a complete lie. I would later discover through messaging this guy that this was one of the people who he met off Craigslist. So I think I remember about a week after I got hacked into, I actually called the FBI. I think I called the FBI in LA. And the agent I spoke with, he was a male. He told me I got an appointment and it was in a couple of days. It was 3 days or something like that because I had gotten my devices hacked into, the password was changed. He made his appointment for me. And then mysteriously, minutes after I sent emails to my boss and to my content creator supporter accounts because I wasn't sure if my freaking pages had gotten hacked into, my content creation pages had gotten hacked into. I sent them emails and mysteriously minutes after that, suddenly this FBI agent calls me back to cancel my appointment. And I was like, why are you canceling my appointment? He's like, this seems like a civil matter. Those were the exact words that he used, civil matter. And I was confused at the time. I was like, huh? What do you mean civil matter? I had no idea who was doing this at the time. Now, I know about phone number spoofing, so immediately after I hung up with this agent, I happened to look up the Washington, D.C. location on the same day I was at the San Diego Public Library filling out an IC3 report. And I called this Washington, D.C. location to confirm it was really the same FBI agent who called me to cancel my appointment, and they linked me back to the exact same agent in LA. See, this is the phone number that I have for the FBI in LA, and this is the phone number that I have for the FBI in DC. Now, I also like to add that I actually called the FBI in LA. I think I called the FBI in San Diego first. I actually first showed up in person to the FBI's office in San Diego, and I was informed by the guard there that the FBI no longer does same-day in-person appointments. You have to call to get an appointment. So I called the FBI in San Diego and I made an appointment, but it was 4 weeks out or something. It was sometime in August, and she gave me super weird instructions. She was like, don't bring your medications or any of your electronics. You must leave them all in the car. And I was like, that's a fucking weird instruction to give. So by this point, it was pretty obvious to me that somebody had called these entities, and they had told them something about me. So somebody had like implanted a virus in my phone, right? They could obviously see who I was calling and who I was looking up. So they would like reach out to them and then like I don't know exactly what they told them about me, but they obviously told them something about me, right? And at the time, I was really, really concerned about getting my data stolen. Like, I didn't want to leave my electronics in the car because it's like, dude, that literally contains all the evidence that I was hacked into. At that point, I had actually seen signs of entry in my vehicle, my place of living, numerous times, countless number of times. So I didn't want to leave my electronics in the car. I didn't want to take that chance. So I thought that everything was going to get stolen while I was at this FBI appointment. So I ended up deciding not to go back in August. Now, since that appointment was 4 weeks out, and I got those weird instructions, I decided to make a sooner appointment with the FBI. That's why I called the location in LA. And that's when I made the appointment, and the agent would later end up oddly canceling my appointment. Now, this is around the time I started thinking that, like, somebody's formed a conspiracy. At the time, I didn't know who. But now, I'm fairly certain I have a pretty good idea. I believe it was my ex and members of the police department. And the reason why I say that is because one of the times that I actually called San Diego, I think it was on July 19th, I had phoned San Diego non-emergency line. And the San Diego non-emergency line, reason why I called them, I told them my daughter was receiving some sort of like text alert saying like 2 trackers were following her. That's what my mom told my dad, and my dad told me. My dad happened to be at my place, and we were like moving boxes because I was supposed to move out on July 20th to a new address. The officer that showed up, he showed up unusually fast. Like, it was literally like maybe 1 to 2 minutes after I hung up this phone. Like, I was not expecting him to arrive that fast. I was kind of caught off guard. I was like, holy shit, this guy arrived fast. Like, did he just happen to be close by, or what the hell was going on? So I told him, like, I got pretty much every single device that I owned hacked into. And, my mom told my dad that, my daughter received some sort of text alert. And he's like, well, do you have the text? And I was like, well, no, because I literally got my devices hacked into. At that point, I had bought a flip phone in cash from T-Mobile, and I hadn't turned on like mobile data, or like I wasn't using mobile data, and I never turned on Wi-Fi for that. So I was only using it solely to call and text people. Now, I distinctly remember after I told this guy I got every single device that I own hacked into, this guy was like, well, you need to file an IC3 report. And I was like, yeah, I already did that. And he's like, and I told him, I was like, I also made an appointment with the FBI, and they canceled my appointment. He's like, well, sounds like you used up all your resources. And he just like turns around to walk away. And then there was another police car that happened to show up, but it was like towards the end of our conversation. So it was like he was already getting ready to leave. And I distinctly remember I was like, hey, I turned on my mobile data, and I was like texting my mom. I was like, hey, send me that photo that like, you said my daughter got. And my mom sent it to me, but my phone was taking so long to load that the police had already left by the time like my phone finished loading. But I distinctly remember like seeing the phone like progressing. It was progressing, and I turned around to show the officer so I could show them the photo that he had asked for. And then this officer, he had the windows down, so I could actually hear him speaking to a woman next to him as he drove away. And he literally said, uh-oh, here she comes, and then he just drove away laughing. So to me, it's fairly obvious that somebody obviously called this guy ahead of time and told him something, because it's like, why would this guy think that I'm a problem for just reporting that? Obviously somebody called this guy, told him to wait there, and then like they were expecting my phone call basically. I would later end up placing a FOIA request almost 2 months apart for the body camera footage of this police officer. And both times San Diego Police Department refused this footage. They denied me this footage because they cited some sort of government code and quote-unquote investigatory reasons. Basically, I'm being investigated for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I would later end up speaking to a different private investigator who I'm not going to name because I don't want him to be targeted next. But basically, he told me that if the police department is the one doing this, then the city is going to try to do everything they can to cover it up. He literally told me San Diego police are a bunch of assholes, and the city's going to try to do everything they can to cover it up. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. The city closed my request. This same private investigator told me that 10 years ago, you used to be able to get all sorts of records from the city, from San Diego Police Department, but now you no longer can. Now they just do everything they can to try to conceal the information and cover it up. And quite frankly, this doesn't even make sense, because if this record didn't exist in the first place, then why would they tell me no at first because of government investigatory reasons? Like, that literally doesn't even make sense. And second of all, I know that I called about this because I have evidence of this, and I actually sent this to Apple Cybersecurity. Then there's another night that I'm like trying to go to sleep. I'm trying to go to sleep at my new apartment. This is shortly after I moved, like a few days after I moved in. And something really weird happens as I'm like trying to fall asleep. I all of a sudden like hear this helicopter, and it sounds like it's really, really close outside my window, and it's like shining lights in my fucking windows. And I was just like, you know what, just fucking ignore it. Like, this is whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. Just fucking ignore it. So I just ignored it, and I just try to go to sleep. I just ignored it. I do distinctly remember which night this was, though. And this happened on the same night that my dad happened to call me, telling me, don't trust the FBI. Now, why did my dad say this? Because my dad is a historian, and he knows all about weird shit that the government has been involved in. And that was the same night that I would end up seeing that helicopter shining lights in my window.